The federal government is moving ahead on new gun control measures, introducing a bill yesterday that includes a buyback program and the ability for cities to ban handguns. Is that more or less effective, though, than a national handgun ban? For one mayor's take, I'm joined by John Taylor, the mayor of Newmarket, Ontario. Hi, Mayor Taylor. Good to meet you. Thank you for making time for the program tonight.
My pleasure. Great to be here.
What was your initial reaction? I mean, the government had signaled that this was the route they were going to go. Now it's official. Your response?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I want to say, and I mean it genuinely, is that I congratulate the government on taking this issue on of crime and gun-related violence and crime, and so there's a lot of measures they're moving on and that I support and I think are excellent to see. So I don't want to knock them too much, given that they're trying to take on an important topic, but. I do believe strongly that anything short of a national handgun ban, and certainly provincial at the very least, is going to be highly flawed public policy, to be blunt, and probably not very effective.
So tell me what your concerns are with the city-by-city model.
Well, I think that if you look at it, I live in the GTA, so our Newmarket is in York Region, 9 municipalities, side by side. I've got retail urban centers in communities just minutes each way of us. If one is opting for a handgun ban and one is not, then essentially by default you have no handgun ban. I mean, when you're trying to target certain activity, you're trying to limit access to guns that find their way into the hands of criminals, often through legal purchases. Break-ins are one of the most important examples. Well, then that's not going to achieve anything. And frankly, having us debate and hash this out in each council chamber, but a mixed result or a patchwork of enforcement of that kind of activity is going to produce virtually no results, in my opinion.
So the other issue, and I posed this question to Minister Blair, the public safety minister, yesterday, is around provinces themselves, right? You mentioned just a few seconds ago, if this isn't a ban at the provincial or federal level, the premier of this province, Ontario, has indicated that he's not in favor of a ban. And even if your city wanted to pursue it on its own, it looks like it would be hard to circumvent the province's jurisdiction over municipalities. Do you have any sense of whether or not there might be conversations between municipalities and the province, or anything on the table?
None that I'm aware of yet. I think probably waiting to see where this does land, although it seems like we know now. And that's why I strongly support a national handgun ban. I actually strongly support this direction, but I just don't think handing it to municipalities. I mean, it'll be blunt. We've been through this not that long ago, where the federal government, chose to legalize marijuana. And then the province was told they'd need to enact it, and then they said, we'll leave it up to each municipality to decide what they want to do for retail sales. It was not a good and still is not a great approach. And this is a similar, but maybe perhaps even more meaningful example of that kind of approach that I think is flawed.
So when I did ask the federal minister, around around the question of whether or not a national ban would be more effective, his counter was that it would probably, and I'm paraphrasing, but encapsulate a lot of people who don't need to be encapsulated by a ban. And we know that there are people outside of cities in this country who are not in favor of that ban. What do you say in response to that?
Well, I say several things, and I'm now talking partially personally, but let's first of all start here. We've learned this from COVID, if nothing else, that perfection is the enemy of progress. This conversation can go on long enough that it gets entrenched further and further, and change will become more and more difficult, like it is in the U.S. And so I say we need to move forward. And will it affect some people that don't need to be caught by it? Of course, but that's the nature of a ban. And I will say this, and I'm going to get some emails, but the only downside of a total national ban is that handgun hobbyists, people who engage with handguns for hobbies, will have their hobby stopped, essentially. But other than that, unless somebody can point something out to me, I can't think of anything. This is not about rifles and hunting rifles in Indigenous communities, and I've lived in an Indigenous community for a number of years, and wouldn't support that. But this is about handguns. And so I say, with the rising level of handgun crimes in urban centers and we're a highly urbanized nation, that yes, to move forward, some people will have a negative impact, but it's a negative impact to what I describe as a hobby. And I don't say that in a derogatory sense. But yeah, but we make decisions all the time at even the municipal level on very easy, not easy, but things like bike lanes that impact people's parking or their property in front of their houses. I mean, there isn't a pure win all the time. So I would say it's unfortunate we can't figure out a perfect way to move forward that wouldn't affect anybody that doesn't want to be affected or shouldn't be because they're doing nothing wrong. But I don't think that option's available. And so I still support a national handgun ban. I think we'll look back 10 or 20 years from now and we'll see conclusively that we're a better country for it.
Mayor, just before I let you go, is there any way in which you see Newmarket pursuing a municipal level ban? Just let's say, for the sake of it, that the province ends up giving an okay to that being pursued by municipalities and the feds proceed as they've described. Is it something that you would entertain?
It's a great question. I guess I would entertain it. Yeah. I mean, it's worth having the discussion about. I feel passionately about limiting handguns. Access to handguns, and so we should certainly have that conversation. But I'd have a harder time looking an objector in the eye when they say, but this is going to be meaningless because the municipality beside you has already decided to allow it. Why are you doing this, Mayor Taylor? And I'd have a hard time answering that question because they'll say it's not going to make any difference. But I don't want to take it off the table either because perhaps the vast majority of the municipalities in the GTA will act in unison, and then it would be more meaningful. But at the end of the day, people who want to get a handgun for the purpose of crime, they're willing to travel even an hour or two, right? So I think I really hope they'll keep giving this consideration, and maybe not right now, but maybe a year or two from now. And again, I do want to say that I'm glad they're tackling the issue. And every step forward matters, but on this one, I hope they're looking soon, if not now, to taking a bigger step forward.
Okay, Mayor, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for making the time tonight. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
John Taylor is the Mayor of Newmarket, Ontario. Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.